She came home late that night, tired, calm, unaware that two men were already waiting for her in the dark, hidden in the kitchen and armed with a hammer. In a quiet Florida neighborhood where the largest sounds are usually crickets and sprinklers, the stillness broke with 17 brutal strikes. The next morning, her neighbor found her body, and when police uncovered who ordered the betrayal, left the community shattered because the man that wanted her dead was her husband. Hi, I'm Holly Mae Cormier, author of Memphis, a domestic thriller about love, survival, and violence. On this channel, I talk about true crime, narcissistic abuse, and the line between domestic devotion and danger. Today's story is about Teresa Sievers, a mother, a wife, and a physician who helped others heal. And the one person who was supposed to love her forever decided to destroy her. So Teresa Sievers was the kind of doctor that others remembered. She was born in Connecticut in 1968. She believed healing was more than medicine. It was energy, compassion, and connection. Patients described her as radiant, fiery, and spiritual. She mixed science with intuition. Her medical practice in Bonita Springs, Florida was thriving. She gave talks about women's health, holistic health, and self-empowerment. But beneath her confident smile, her marriage was cracking. So to the outside world, she and her husband Mark were a picture-perfect couple. Two beautiful daughters, a nice home, a successful business. Behind closed doors though, the foundation was cracking. So Mark Sievers, Teresa's husband, primarily worked from home, and he handled the admin for his wife's medical practice. But many of their friends said that he seemed more like a gatekeeper rather than a stable partner to Teresa. He monitored her time, tracked her schedule, and even questioned her business trips that she went on. In private journals found later, Mark wrote about being abandoned and rejected by his wife. So it turns out he resented Teresa's success and the attention she gave to her patients instead of him. The control, the jealousy, the emotional distance, it all began to suffocate their home. Yet Teresa tried to hold it all together. Maybe for her kids, maybe out of faith, maybe because she still believed in the man she once loved. But as investigators later said, Mark loved Teresa to death, quite literally. So on June 28th, 2015, Teresa flew home from Connecticut. She was coming back from her mother's birthday party where all of her family were gathered. Mark and their two daughters stayed behind, and she decided to fly home early because she had patients to see the next morning. Her flight landed just before midnight. She texted her husband Mark to let him know that she had made it home safely, but that was the last message that she would ever send. Inside her home were two men lying in wait, hidden in the dark. So the next morning, Teresa didn't show up for work. That's something that she just never did. She was rarely even late, according to her colleagues at the medical practice. So one of her female colleagues called Mark, who then asked a neighbor of theirs to go and check on Teresa. The neighbor stepped into the house and froze. The kitchen floor was covered in blood. Teresa had been bludgeoned 17 times with a hammer that was laying on the floor next to her. There was no sign of forced entry. Nothing was taken, and it seemed like the killer had known exactly where to go and what to do. Police questioned Mark immediately. It's usually the husband that they want to single out right off the hop, right? They're always the number one person of interest. So right off the bat, they want to interview Mark. They bring him in for questioning. He seemed like his reaction was rehearsed, and his tone changed frequently, often flipping between calm and sobs, and the calm more of a calm calculation. He was quoted as saying during the police interview, "They're gonna put that bastard in jail," if reading lines from, I don't know, something he Googled. So detectives didn't have proof, but their instincts told them this guy's acting. This isn't authentic tears. These are crocodile tears. There was a problem. Mark had an alibi. Remember, he stayed behind in Connecticut at Teresa's mother's birthday celebration. Well, she flew home solo. So he was hundreds of miles away. But if he didn't do it, who did? 2 weeks later, police got a call. A family friend had called and said that Mark was acting strangely. Like, his behavior was noted as being forced and incredibly detached, especially during Teresa's funeral. He had made jokes at her funeral. His wife, who was just bludgeoned to death in her home. He didn't seem heartbroken. He seemed free, making jokes at his murdered wife's funeral. I don't know. People grieve in different ways, but that just seemed very odd. So odd that these friends and family actually reported this to police. So this initial tip from the one family friend did lead police to 2 men based out of Missouri, Curtis Wayne Wright and Jimmy Ray Rogers. Curtis Wright and Mark Sievers were inseparable since childhood. They were best friends. Curtis had even helped Mark's tech business and had attended his, scratch that, forget that. So when detectives checked phone records, they found deleted GPS data the night that she was killed. Surveillance footage showed them buying gloves, wipes, and trash bags at a local Walmart. Then Jimmy's girlfriend told police he had confessed to her. Now, Jimmy Ray Rogers had a nickname, and it was Jimmy the Hammer. So the Hammer's girlfriend was the one who really cracked the case right open, because she went to police and told them that her boyfriend, the Hammer, had admitted to her that he had killed Teresa. And she took police on a road where she had went with her boyfriend, Curtis, and they had dumped evidence that was used during the murder of Teresa. Some of this evidence included a blue jumpsuit that had Teresa's blood on it. So, a couple weeks goes by, they compile evidence, they arrest the 2 men, Curtis and Jimmy. But when Curtis was caught, he made a deal, and he told detectives everything, that Mark Sievers, his childhood best friend, had hired him for the hit on Teresa's life. Apparently, the plan had been months in the making, and strangely, it all began at Curtis's wedding that happened in April. Remember, Teresa was murdered in June. So 2 months before her killing was when these 2 men, who look like it's insane. Like, these 2 can easily pass for brothers and maybe even get by calling each other identical twin brothers. That's how much they look like. But Curtis's wedding is, which I'm sure Teresa attended to. She was somewhere there, maybe with Curtis's bride-to-be, and these 2 men are talking about her murder. It's insane to me. Absolutely insane. So they used burner phones, they coded phrases, and even met at Curtis's own wedding to finalize this plot. So Mark had told Curtis that Teresa was planning to leave him, and he said that the only way to save his family was to kill her. Really? Why can't you get a divorce? Oh yeah, because you're a bum. She's the breadwinner. These guys are just absolutely insane. It's just really insane to me that they were even plotting this poor woman's murder at one of their weddings. Absolutely crazy. It was a complete waste of a life. I mean, now these 2 little girls don't have their mother, who was a quite incredible woman to look up to. She ran her own practice. She gave talks on self-empowerment for women, holistic medical practices. I mean, that's absolutely fabulous. Mark had a trophy wife, and it's very clear to me that he just felt insufficient. I don't know what you would call that, but she should have dumped his ass years ago, if you ask me. So Teresa Sievers really devoted her life to helping others heal through holistic medical practices. But she couldn't see the growing danger that was lurking right beside her. Evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a wedding ring. I hope this story made you think, reflect, and appreciate those that you hold dear.